Awesome. Okay. Well, hello everyone who is watching this after the recording. My name is Heather Ledbetter. I'm the creator of the Hot Summer Shorts Challenge, the animated short challenge that's happening throughout this month of July. And if you're interested in participating in it, like I said, we've still got it's going on through the whole month. You can find information such as the rules and the prize list, all pinned to the top of the Instagram page. So check that out. We're also on Facebook and X, and I'm also posting stuff on LinkedIn for anyone who's interested in that. And that's just under my personal LinkedIn, Heather Ledbetter. So, speaking of the challenge, I have one of my judges with me this morning, Ryan Martin. So, thanks so much for joining me, Ryan. I really appreciate it.
Well, hello, hello.
Well,
It's a pleasure to be here. I'm super excited.
yeah, it's gonna be fun. So for those of you who are just meeting Ryan, he's a character designer, viz dev artist, background artist. He's doing a lot of cool stuff. He's also a YouTube content creator, and it's Gentendo, right?
Right, that's
Spelled
right. Yeah.
free.
Mhm.
And I'll link all that stuff so anyone who's interested in looking him up can find it easily, as well as his Instagram. So we'll any social media I'll link so that you guys can find him easily. So also on top of your personal work, you're currently an intern on the Zack and Time indie
Right,
animated series, right? And then
right. Yeah.
I was also looking, you're a lead character designer for a project called, I'm gonna butcher it,
Sikaris.
the Chorus. Okay. And is
Yes.
that new? Is that something you just started?
Yeah, we just started that up. It's the same developer who developed Zack in Time.
Oh, cool.
And we are getting that ready for pitching, and we're hoping that I'm Happy Studios, the studios that works on Zack in Time, will pick it up. We think that it has a pretty good chance of doing that because it's a really interesting story. It's a really cool story that Christian came up with. So I'm super excited to be working on it.
Awesome. Yeah, I saw that and I was trying to look up information, but I'm guessing it's pretty new as far as
Pretty NDA'd out. So it's like it's
okay.
really cool. It's really cool though.
Uh,
When you start seeing some stuff come out of it, you're gonna be like, wow, this is awesome. So it's really sci-fi. So that is super
I
cool.
love it.
Yeah.
That's great. Oh, I'm so excited. All right, cool. Well, that's really, really awesome. So on top of that, you're also working on, at least in the past, you've been working on some personal projects like Meet the Martians. Is that something? I mean, now
Yeah.
you're getting really busy, which is fantastic. Are you
It
still
is.
your
So
personal?
I'm dabbling in that. And then, I always have like always try to like have I guess it's because I'm pretty ADHD. I have like a bunch of different projects going on at the same time. So like Meet the Martians was something that I've been working on since like 2021.
Oh, wow.
Um and kind of, I got a pretty good premise of it down, so it's pretty exciting. I started working on a children's book with my wife where it's called The Fruit Bats of the Spirit. And it's yeah, it's it's based off of the Fruits of the Spirit,
Yeah,
and
I love that.
it's going to be a 9 book series that we're working on. We're going to self-publish it on Amazon, so that's going to be really fun. Um, and I just started working on something like literally yesterday, developing it. It's called I think it's going to be called Crit Happens. Like critical
Right.
hits, yeah, critical
Yeah,
hits
critical
in
for like
RPG games and stuff like that. So it's going to be a pretty fun little idea. Like these kids get sucked into an old school RPG game, and they all are assigned like a class, like a warrior class, a sage class, and all
yeah.
that stuff. So it's going to be pretty fun. I've been working on that, dabbling in that a little bit too. So
That's
yeah, I
so
got a lot
cool.
of
Okay.
irons in the fire.
Well, now I got to ask, are you a D&D person also?
I am. Yes,
Yeah.
I do love, and I liked it before it was cool again because of
Yeah.
Stranger Things,
Oh my
right?
God.
Yeah, so I
I love
liked it way
it.
before it was cool again. So
We'll get you a shirt. D&D
yeah,
before school.
there you
I
go.
love that. Oh, that's so cool. Well, yeah, dude, you've got a lot going on. A lot going on, but that's so great. Well, I wanted to talk kind of about your history and your journey. I know that on your YouTube channel you've done some stuff kind of trying to document your journey. But I'd love to talk about kind of where it all started. Did you
Yeah.
go to art school? Are you self-taught? Like kind of what's your journey?
So starting off like when I was really young, always loved drawing. So like I would take these things, these ancient things called VHS tapes, and they're
I'm
an ancient
so.
artifact. And I would take the covers of the VHS shells because it was mainly Disney stuff that I drew.
Yeah.
And I would literally just like look at it and like try to like draw it. I never, ever, ever traced. And and it was always a super big compliment to me when people were like, you traced that. I was like, oh yeah. No, I
Oh,
didn't, but thank
rare.
you.
I didn't.
Yeah. So so it's super cool. So I started off doing that, and I was a really, yeah. Anytime I got in trouble when I was a kid, my parents, I would get, grounded or whatever, but they would never take away my drawing supplies because they know that like that was like the one way like I coped with a lot of stuff because and then as I've gotten older, I kind of like, I got into music. I was really into music. I play guitar from a really young age. Um and I kind of stopped drawing, and then I would say almost, well, not really recently, but since like 2021, 2020, or something like that, when like all that stuff with COVID happened, I started drawing again, right? And then I got into digital art. My first time ever doing digital art was like in 2021 or
Mm,
2022. Yeah.
wow.
So I thought it was so cool that people could draw digitally, and like I'm not having to take a picture of my like sketchbook, which is still really cool though. But I could easily just like export it as a, JPEG, and upload it.
Yeah.
So yeah, I got into that, and I really got into it, and started posting on TikTok and got a little bit of traction on TikTok, and uh uh became friends with some people who are, in that realm.
Mhm.
And they just really encouraged me to like pursue it heavily. And so I did. So I started like taking online courses and stuff like that. I looked into art school. Like, I think everybody was like, I think a lot of people, not everybody, but a lot of people's like dream school would be like, either SCAD or Cal Arts, stuff like that. And um, so I looked into both of those, right? And I was like, man, I just can't.
Yeah.
I can't see myself paying it right now.
Yeah.
I'm number one, I would be the oldest person there. And then two, I'm like, well, a lot of these folks are saying that you could get a lot of good education online without having to go to school. So that's what I did. I pursued the creature art teacher. Aaron Blaze is like one of my
Yeah.
biggest like inspirations.
I've
Yeah.
done that too. Preach it.
Yeah,
Ways. Yeah.
he is so good. If you guys haven't checked out his stuff on Creature Art Teacher is excellent. Me and him are buddies, actually. We're friends.
That's awesome.
So he taught me a lot of stuff. He's reviewed my portfolio. He says, he's given me a lot of great feedback and stuff like that. So um that and so it kind of moved my way into get myself out there on social media, right? Really posting consistently, and there's so many. One thing I always say is like there's so many artists that are like better than me, right? Or they're better draftsmen. They have better draftsmanship than I do. But one thing I think that sets me apart a little bit is the fact that I'm not scared to like get out there and get like vulnerable and like have people critique my art. Like I actually enjoy that because it helps me get better too. So
Yeah. I think
um,
like you have to be willing to do that and put
yeah,
yourself like
yeah. And if you're not, then if you're kind of like one of those people who are like, I really, you know, don't do well with criticism and stuff like that, that sometimes that's going to be that's that's a little bit of a hindrance. You're handicapping yourself a little bit, not opening
totally.
yourself up to criticism.
Right.
And it doesn't have to be mean criticism. It can be constructive.
Mhm.
But yeah, I really and then I started working. I put my portfolio out there to a couple of those indie studios, and then I got picked up, and so that was excellent. Um, and uh hopefully, this is knock on wood. Hopefully, I am moving. I am 100% moving out to a place called Thousand Oaks, California, which is close to LA, right?
Wow.
I'm going to be hopefully working with some pretty cool people there too. So, yeah, super excited.
Mhm.
That's kind of where it led me to. All of the stuff that I do, like, is pretty much, I'm not teaching myself. I'm learning through YouTube University or, something like that. And
Yeah.
another really big one, I brought out some books. So like this is a big one,
Yeah.
obviously.
I have that
Uh,
one too.
one of my absolute
So
favorites,
good.
if you're into animation, that's definitely a go-to. Richard Williams' Animation Survival Kit. And then obviously Steven Silver's, I've been like really diving deep into this one for the character
Yeah.
design aspect because I really enjoy caricature work. Um, and I feel like caricature work, if you're a character designer, can really separate yourself. Yeah, it kind of puts yourself, if you can caricaturize someone, um, it will definitely set your designs apart, you know. And I think that's basically what this book is talking about is
Yeah.
really building interesting, appealing shapes and silhouettes and stuff like that.
Yeah.
So yeah, I
Helping
really enjoy it. Yeah.
switch extremes and whatnot. Yeah.
Yeah.
The things that take it up another notch. That's
Right.
awesome. Yeah. Absolutely. And continued education. I mean, as artists, it's like we never arrive, right? I mean, you should never think you've arrived, like because
Yeah.
we can always get better, we can always improve. So
Exactly, exactly. I think one of the biggest things in any, not just art, right? In anything, if you're pursuing it, um, I'll give you an example. My dad is a professional bodybuilder, right?
oh wow, good for
And
him.
he's been a professional bodybuilder for a really long time. And he still hires coaches who are half his age, and it's because, he's certified through like all these personal training certifications and things like that. Very, very educated on this stuff, but
Mhm.
he never ever wants to think that he knows everything. He wants to learn from people. And I feel like I've kind of taken that with, I try to put that in all aspects of my life. So like, even something that I feel I'm pretty proficient in, I want to learn more about it. And once you feel like you got it down pat, if you feel like you do, that's where I think that's where you start slipping,
Yeah,
honestly.
totally. Yeah, absolutely slipping when we think that. Um, well, that's yeah, the books. I know. I was thinking about the other day. I'm looking at my collection of animation books from like Muybridge and
Yeah.
Eric Goldberg and Preston Blair,
Yeah.
and Ollie, Frank and Ollie. I think even if you're not a person who likes to read, like just visually looking
Mhm.
at all the examples that they have, I mean, it's endless. There's just endless things to look at and learn
Yeah.
from. So,
Yeah,
absolutely,
it's
for
absolutely
your
awesome.
library for sure. Um, so your YouTube channel, we were talking about that earlier a little bit, but so it's a mix of gaming. Did it start as a gaming channel? Because I know you
So
like
like, yeah, back in 2020, like when everybody was like doing the Twitch thing,
yeah.
I was doing Twitch and YouTube and stuff like that. So like it started out as me like doing like, live gameplay. I did that. So like when COVID happened, it was like a very unfortunate thing, but like I actually made a living doing like the streaming games and stuff like that. So it was a pretty cool time in the fact that I was playing games and making money doing it. So, but yeah, that's what I was doing for a while, and yeah, and then so I was like, man, I really want to just go all in on the digital art thing, or the art just in general thing and animation. So what could I do? And I was like, let me just repurpose this and started. So yeah, I have a lot of like full length, like long form content coming out too that I'm editing currently, and a lot of it's short form stuff that I'm just repost, like cross posting and stuff like that. But yeah, it's a lot of fun, a lot of cool stuff coming down the pipeline when it comes to that. Talking about, I documented my entire time at Animation Y'all, which was a really cool
Oh,
event. That
cool.
was a super cool event.
Yeah.
So,
And it's relatively new, right?
so it's the second year that I did
Yeah.
it. and I actually have the t-shirt.
Oh
So
yeah.
yeah, it's the second year they did it, and I actually had tickets to go the first year, but my son was born, which was great.
That'll put a damper on it, but
Yeah, which was great. Yeah, I'm so excited that he was born, but he could have
yeah.
been born, just a little bit before or after.
Hey, it's
Yeah,
insane.
it was right on time too. So, but
Yeah.
yeah, so it was really an exciting experience to go and meet Tom and Tony's fantastic people. Um, Aaron Blaze. I met Steven Silver. Just a lot of really cool. Trey Bailey's a really cool guy. A lot of really cool people in the industry. A lot of people that are doing a lot of indie projects themselves. Tabling at these events. It's really cool to see, and it was really inspiring because I was like, a lot. I feel like a lot of the stuff nowadays is like indie, like is the way to go, which is what everybody's saying. So I feel like it, if you have an idea, make it,
Yeah.
you know.
Yeah.
So and you
Well,
have the tools to do it now.
exactly.
That's the thing. It might take longer if you're the only person working on it, but the tools are available and out there to you to be able to do that. So
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. There's I mean, not to sound, I guess, harsh or anything like that, but yeah, I mean, there's really no excuse for not putting your work out there. There's so many platforms. If you don't like one, there's
yeah,
10 others that you can upload stuff to. So
right.
we are living in a world where everybody can create and find an audience, so
Yeah, absolutely.
it's a great time for that. I know that it's a difficult time in the industry. As anybody who's tried to find work, I think everybody, especially if you've gone to art school, I'm sure the idea of getting out and immediately getting into a big studio is like that's everybody's goal. But
Yeah.
we're kind of in a time where you may not. There's a lot of very, very talented people that are, like you said, that are turning to indie work and creating their
Yeah.
own stuff because that's kind of that's the only option that they're left with.
Yeah.
Great at the same time. So
But it is awesome too because it's your idea. You're not having to go through a million different people to get approval on things.
mhm,
And another thing is like you look at a lot of these indie projects that started out on YouTube that are now getting like picked up by studios. Like, I mean, I can name like 4 or 5 that I can think of right now that started out on YouTube that now are like have a place on Netflix, or HBO. So it's not to say like do it because you love doing it and it's your baby and you love it and it's a passion of yours. But I mean, it could be something that people, really want to see at that point in time and it could get noticed.
yeah,
So
absolutely. So speaking of personal projects, so Meet the Martians, tell me a little bit about kind of what inspired that. I know that you're pretty heavily inspired by Nickelodeon shows like The Fairly Odd Parents
yeah.
and that style, which is so cool. And
Yeah.
so, it's
So I always loved UPA style stuff,
yeah,
like even like back to Hanna-Barbera stuff, like that was always like I really dug that. So the style is very much heavily Nickelodeon influence, probably 90s Nickelodeon influence, early 2000s, stuff like that. So very much it has like a Butch Hartman vibe as far as the art style direction goes. But it's really what it is a family of entrepreneur like tech moguls who get sent through from the government to different alien planets. Their last names are Martians, so
right.
that's their last names, and so they go to different alien planets, and they bring these alien planets up to speed because this is in the future. Earth is like so far ahead of everybody else as far as tech goes, and they crash land on a planet that is like stuck in the 90s. Like so, and the parts on their ship just get obliterated. They have to find ways to get their ship back up and running. And it's hard to do that because it's the 90s there and they don't have the technology to get their ship up and running. So basically, they crash land and the young kid he meets a lot of other kids they're like playing Game Boys and listening to CD players and like or cassette players, Walkmans and stuff. And he's just like mind blown by all this, technology, and how primitive it is and stuff. He's not like snobby about it. He's just like, wow, this is crazy. But basically, what happens throughout the series is they learn to like, wow, this is actually kind of cool. Like, you know, life before pretty much internet, or like when it was first starting up, it wasn't like we're heavily relying on, you know, internet stuff. They're still using like maps and stuff like that, not Google Maps, but like regular maps. And
MapQuest.
so yeah, MapQuest just printing it off on their printer. But it's a really fun. There's a lot of like I'm thinking it's going to be pretty episodic, but there's gonna be a lot of room for like a lot of it's comedy. It's going to be very much comedy driven, but yeah, it's I think it's going to be a super cool thing. I already have some storyboards going and doing some animatic reels for them. So yeah, I think that's going to be a really cool thing. I think I'm working on it by myself, which is super fun, but also, like I said, I just now got the concept art like where I wanted it. So it did take a while to get to that point, but
Yeah.
I started doing some rigging and doing some test animation in Two Boom and all that stuff. And so yeah, it's really exciting. I'm hoping that I'll be able to put some like little. Right now, I'm just taking clips of like really famous Disney movies and like stuff like that, and just transforming it into a until I find some like voice actors and stuff like that. Because I want to do like I could do like a couple of voices, but like I want to find somebody who's like really proficient in it and stuff. So
Yeah.
but yeah, so I think it's going to be a really fun time. That's one thing that I'm working on. The big like that I always like shift my focuses. So right now, like we're really focused on the children's books that we're working on because we want to get those out ASAP.
Yeah.
Um, and so that's taken up a lot of my time as well. So yeah, it's just a lot of things that we got going on. So and it's not a bad thing, right?
No.
So
And that was so that kind of answered the question. I was wondering first of all, what kind of stage of production that you're currently in with any of the various
very
projects that,
much yeah.
yeah, yeah, pre. And so that was something that I was actually really curious about too. I know that your passion and what you tend to put a lot of energy in is the character development and the viz dev and stuff like that. But as far as animation itself goes, is that an area that you're just now kind of dabbling into? Have you been playing around with animation for a while? I mean, and
Yeah.
what's your end goal with your proficiency, in animation, or is that something that you eventually plan to outsource?
Yeah, so no, I definitely want to do it myself. I definitely want to do animation in-house. I've like ever since like, I would take these little when I was a little kid, I'd take these little post-it notes and just like, do like draw things. I would draw like Goku like blowing away Vegeta in a Kamehameha. So like I would just do things like that, and then I started learning and things like that. So like frame by frame and all that stuff. I love it, and that is just one of those things where it takes so long to do it and do it correctly. Um, I love that style. That's probably visually the most appealing to me, is like frame by frame, like the old school Disney style animation, which I love. But also something that's if you have a good story, I really feel like for me, if you have a good story, like I love also like just rigged animation as well.
Yeah.
So like I feel like even with it, if you're doing it in Flash or something like that, like even if you're doing it in Flash, if it's a good story, you have a good it might feel a little bit more stiff in some areas, so you have to like adjust for that in the way you're writing. But but yeah, I love both. But uh, I've been dabbling in Flash and Toon Boom, which I really like Toon Boom. It's just like the Toon Boom side is like pretty steep learning curve.
Mm,
Coming from like something simpler, like a little bit more simple, like Flash, you know.
yeah,
So yeah, but I really enjoy all that stuff. If I were to get into a studio, obviously most of those things, if you're doing television animation, and all those things are outsourced anyway. So, really making sure that you can, and the thing that I've been really getting into is storyboarding, because the cool thing about storyboarding I found is like that's necessary for every like form of media, right? So
yeah.
even if it's live action, even if it's 3D, CG, or like 2D, like you're gonna need a storyboarder. So like I feel like once you get storyboarding down and you really understand like how to storyboard correctly and lining up shots and camera angles and things like that, like that makes you a lot more valuable as a artist, you know, being able to do that kind of stuff too. So I try to in all the different disciplines, I try to like learn as much as I can. Um, and right now I'm on a storyboard kick. So
Storyboarding is great. And I think what's nice about it is that you can do, it's about the action and like you said, the camera angles and the composition, the layout. I mean,
mhm.
it's about all these different things. So your drawings can be loose and suggestive and gestural
Yeah,
really have to be these works of art, which is something that I was talking to Moroni about because he was my mentor for a while.
yeah,
And that's kind of, you know, one of those things where it's kind of hard to break that if you're used
yeah,
to drawing in a lot of detail. Like
yeah,
I want to do story, but storyboarding is yeah, it's an art form in and of itself.
yeah. Yeah, I'm
Really
just used to
learn.
rendering the crap out of stuff, and
Mhm.
I really have to like dial that back and just be very loose with it. And because, you know, here's the thing, a lot of times when the storyboards are getting done, I've you know, everything like not everything even on the character side's nailed down 100%, you know. So like you know, there could be some changes in the way the character is designed or look at a different, you know, angle and stuff like that. So like, you know, I always try to I when I'm doing storyboards, I try to, you know, I'll still put like, you know, depth and stuff like that in it,
Yeah.
but it's yeah, you gotta be really loose with the drawings. And that is that's the hardest part for me because I'm like, I want to like
Yeah.
just, you know, ink everything in. So
Uh-huh. You're like,
but
I can't leave it like that. It's
yeah.
incomplete. Yeah.
Yeah.
I know it's a struggle for sure. So as far as your personal project, I know that you said that the book that you and your wife are working on, that's going to be self-published.
Mhm.
What's your goal with Meet the Martians? Is that something that you want to try to pitch at some point, or are you
Yeah.
going to try the, self produce and put it out on social media like YouTube and
Yeah.
see if it gets picked up, or what's your plan with that?
Yeah, so I think that like for me, like I think what if I could get a good pilot down and you know, it's completed. That's something a lot of the like I'll give you an example. Like if you got some shows that you're creating, you're producing, and I wanted to pitch it to something like Angel Studios or something, right?
Hmm.
They don't produce anything. They are a platform that you can, you know, you can use as far as TV shows. I'm not sure how the movies stuff work on Angel, but
Yeah.
I know that goes through the guild and all that stuff, and they have to like approve it. So if you have something a proof of concept, I think it looks better. I do if you know if I have a good proof of concept, I got a couple of buddies who are in the industry now who have created their own stuff. And I'm gonna run it through them, see what they think about it, and then start trying to pitch it. But once I get out there to LA, it's going to be a lot easier to get out there and well, I'm not going to say it's going to be easier, but it'll be a little bit less of a distance for me to travel.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Yeah,
Proximity helps.
yeah,
Proximity.
yeah.
I think that's a big challenge there. It's nice because there are studios pretty almost in every major city. Like me, I'm
Hmm.
in Texas, but I'm a couple hours at least away from Dallas and Austin and
Yeah.
more than that from Austin, but far enough away that
Hmm.
like it's not really I would have to
Yeah.
but for a lot of artists, there's studios kind of everywhere, but LA is definitely, obviously, that's the mecca. So the closer
Yeah.
you can be there, and the more in-person connections and meetings that you can make happen, I
That was
think.
one of the biggest things is like the connections, right? So like, everybody that I talk to about going to school and stuff like that is like, a lot of these people who are really successful, don't even finish it. You know what I mean? They really, I think that it's obviously school is great, but like the main thing that they pull from it is the connections. So if you're actively out there, putting yourself out there, meeting people, going to events and things like that, I feel like that puts you in a good spot, even if you don't have like, a degree, yeah. So basically, going to conventions and animation, conventions and stuff like that, and Lightbox and all those things are a great way to get yourself out there. And thankfully, Animation Y'all, they do have something on the East Coast now, and that's in Tennessee. So it's fantastic. And I'm sure there's stuff, I'm central.
Yeah.
Um, so like, that's the thing. Like, you just gotta be able to put yourself out there, get to meet people. And that's where that's like the whole thing for me getting onto Zack and Time was I went out to LA and I went to a convention. It's called HeartCon, and put on by Butch Hartman. And I met Christian there. And me and him actually worked together on pitching something. It was like a really quick exercise we did. We pitched a idea, and he liked the stuff that I did. I loved his writing, and so we were like, yeah. He's like, come on out here to Zack and Time and help us out there. So that's what I did, and so that spawned from a connection that I made. Not
Yeah.
not not my educational background, but
Right.
but
Yeah. There's absolutely something to be said for that. Just again, making the connections, getting in front of people and talking to them face to face. It's a lot easier to connect with somebody, professionally when you have talked to them in person,
yeah,
essentially, or, like that, even just like this, like a
yeah,
Zoom, um, just getting to know people that way. And, I don't know, man, the whole like putting your resume out there virtually, it's just when you're just a piece of paper, basically, it's a lot harder to um be appealing as a
yeah.
potential hire and a collaborator. So
Yeah. So I'm
that's
so
really
all in on it. Like I'm all in on it. I already put LA as my address. So like, I know that I'm going to be out there at some point in time. So it's soon, and it's going to be fun. But I think that a lot of this stuff it can be done remotely. Obviously the Zack and Time thing is 100% remote, and people from all around the world are working on Zack and Time, which is fantastic. It's a great way to get some stuff on your resume and get some experience. This is my first experience like working with a producer and stuff like that, and like having to go back and redraw things over and over and over. Like
yeah,
I finished it. It's already up in the Google Drive, and
right.
we're redrawing it, and it's really good practice. I love that because I can't I if I saw it, I don't know the full vision. I don't see the
Yeah.
whole thing. So like they know what they're doing, and it's super awesome to be a part of, because that's something like if I drew a background for myself for like Meet the Martians, I'll draw it one time and there it
Yeah,
is. Hey, it's perfect. But like,
what you want.
yeah. And then, but you're matching somebody else's idea, and that's an experience that you wouldn't normally get if you didn't, put yourself out there and apply for these internships and things like that.
Mhm.
So it's
um,
really exciting.
yeah, well, that's great. Just that, like you said, that collaborative experience is so valuable, and it's really necessary, like you said, unless you're gonna work on something completely by yourself, and it'll take years and years and years,
Yeah.
really flesh it out and have it be a finished product. I think a lot of people really poo-poo the whole uh, internship idea and apprenticeships and things like that, especially since most of them are unpaid. And I get it. When you're
Yeah.
an developer, you don't have any backers, you don't have any financial support yet. So like, how can you pay people? But you have
Yeah.
this, and I don't know. I'm because I'm with you. We talked briefly about how I'm also doing an internship with a startup studio that's connected with SCAD,
Mhm.
and um, yeah, I'm like, I would I like to be paid? Everybody would like to be paid for what they do, especially as an artist. But the collaborative experience and just this, the basically it's studio experience, even though it's all
Yeah,
remote, like you're still getting that same
right.
feedback, and you're having to redo stuff that you thought was
Yeah.
good because in your mind you're like, oh, this is
You're like,
like,
oh, this looks great. Yeah.
yeah, but it's valuable experience for sure. And so
Yeah.
totally worth it in my book. And that would be my advice to people starting out that are struggling to get hired, paid work, you know, not necessarily to settle. And obviously everybody has bills to pay, but if you want to be an artist and work at a studio, like be willing to try the internship and get
Yeah.
put in the door that way.
For sure. And then also like while you're doing that, as long as it's not NDA like lockdown, I'd post your work up and
Yeah.
like here's the thing, like I didn't even realize this, but like you could do really well for yourself on like Google AdSense and like, you could do really well for with Instagram. I didn't even realize that Instagram paid anybody, but like
Hmm.
you could do really well. And but the main thing is like, hey, that I always think of it like this, like my parents, they're super supportive and everything. Like I tell them, yeah, I'm working on this and this, and they're like, are you getting paid? And I'm like, not yet.
Yeah.
But it's a means to an end. So like not
Yeah.
to say that, I'm not gonna get paid. I might not get paid on this project, which is fantastic, which is perfectly fine. I go into
Hmm.
it knowing that that's the case and I'm doing it for experience.
Yeah.
Um, but I know that one day that experience will lead to a eventually where there is a paid project, that I could to be a part of. I applied for Nickelodeon Studios recently. Who knows? Maybe one
Yeah.
day I'll get that. So,
Yeah.
um, yeah, I think it's just a really cool thing. And I think that once people, once you get yourself out there and not afraid to, show your work, um, and open yourself up to criticism, constructively. If somebody's being mean, that's a totally different story. But like if it's constructive and like people are giving tips and pointers and stuff like that, be willing and open to accepting those. I think really one other thing that is super important is to be able to be versatile in your art, like your direction, like your style. You can have like obviously have your own style. I'm developing my own style still as we speak, like still developing it. But like I always want to make sure that like I'm able to be a chameleon with how studios do. So like, you know, my portfolio, it's it's all different styles. Um, because I want to show my range.
Hmm.
And I think that's super important, being able to show your range and stuff like that. So, and that's what I only say that because that's exactly what Steven Silver told me. So,
Yeah.
and he's pretty smart with that stuff.
Right. Pretty smart. Yeah. That's the versatility. Yeah, is huge. And I do think that it's good advice to, if you have a specific studio or a specific project that you're just dying to work on, definitely gear your portfolio towards that
Hmm.
style so that you show the people that you're trying to
Yeah.
advertise that, hey, I can do this.
Yeah.
But yeah, versatility is key, and being able to, like you said, be a kind of a chameleon to fit the new
Hmm.
project. It's important. So
Yeah.
good advice, solid advice, Ryan. Well, I'm not going to take up too much of your time on this Sunday, but I do want to end with something that I think we've kind of touched on, but I'm kind of asking everybody this: what do you think the future of animation is at this point? With, I know that it's kind of hard with everything kind of ebbing and flowing, and all the different things like AI that are coming up into view as far as the animation industry itself goes. Do you have any predictions or advice for other artists?
Yeah. So hopefully, like I'm like pretty adamantly against like the AI thing, but like I know most people are. The thing is like, with hoppers, for example, they used a touch of AI, right, to do Fur and stuff like that. I've done a little bit of research on that, and it did really well in the box office. So that's a little scary, right? Saving some money on post-production and letting AI go through post-production and stuff like that. But here's the thing that I feel like with the way that goes, is like AI is never going to be able to replace like story. People who can come up with a story. Writing is super important too. I think you could be an amazing artist, have amazing draftsmanship, um, but I think being able to write as well is something that everybody should probably try to dip their toes into as well, because you can't, like, if you wrote something like a script or something or ran it through some sort of AI thing, you can almost tell like that sounds really weird, you know? But there's a difference between like the human writing and a big difference between the human writing and the AI writing and stuff like that. So even with that, like I feel like there's always going to be a spot for a human. And I never want it would be great if the AI stuff just kind of disappears. But I don't know if I foresee that happening because of the profitability that these companies and production studios are having because of it. But just being like, hey, try everything, like try all different types of disciplines, because you know being versatile is important. Yeah, talking about doing your own thing, do your own thing and make it your passion project and post it up. You never know. Like it could be picked up. A studio might be able to see it, or if you want to just keep it to yourself, just keep it for you.
Yeah.
There's a lot of people who are super successful on social media that post up just their. I follow several people who have like their own um like IP that they just post up animated shorts. And I'm like, this is great. I love that. I feel like also shorts are super important. Short form content super important because of the attention span thing too. So it's a really big thing. So um
Yeah.
I think that there's opportunity still out there. I feel like if you want it bad enough, there's still going to be opportunity out there for you. And this might not age well. Who knows? It could be where like, in 5 years where it's the only thing that you could do is, generate something through a prompt, so hopefully
Yeah.
not.
Good.
Yeah, I know. Hopefully not. I really hope not, right? But
Yeah.
just having a bunch of different irons in the fire,
Mhm.
don't just, I'm not stuck on working in an animation studio. It would be amazing to do that. But I'm also doing my own thing, doing books, doing my own shorts and stuff like that, and IPs that I'm coming up with, um, that are mine, that maybe one day people will see, and maybe they won't, but that's okay with me because it's something that I love and it's a story that I want to tell, you know? So,
Mhm. Yeah. I think same thing with the internship. I think you can, while I'm saying don't be afraid to take the unpaid internship if you can afford to, but be a little picky. Don't
yeah,
don't sign on to a project that you don't believe in. Don't sign
yeah,
on to that you can't see yourself enjoying because that's
yeah.
just like, suck even more.
Yeah,
So
exactly, exactly. Yeah,
yeah.
I'm fortunately at a point where, I can do that because I have a 9 to 5, right? So,
Mm,
and I have a flexible schedule, so it really works well. But not everybody's in that position. So knowing that, like, financially it might be a little tough, a little strapped at first, but you know, you just keep trying and keep putting yourself out there. And I really think that if you work hard at the social media thing, which is a really uh big thing that I've found that has helped me, that things could, you could get discovered a lot easier. People will see your work and they'll be like, wow, like, even if it's like people picking up commissions from you, So that's another way to like supplement, you know.
Yeah.
So that's kind of where my head is. Like I hope that AI never takes over fully like the Terminator.
Did
And
it actually
yeah.
watch the movie? That's what I always think about.
Yeah. I don't want that to happen. But I don't know. I don't want to sound morbid. Like I listen to a lot of like different people talk about it, and it's all kind of like, yeah, AI is, here to stay. It's not going anywhere. And, but make your own stuff, you know?
Hmm. Yeah.
That's the cool part is like you don't have to involve AI at all on your own stuff.
No, nope.
Yeah.
That's
So,
entirely us up to us as individuals and ultimately studios. And
yeah.
so true. So very true. Well, Ryan, thank you again so much. I really appreciate you coming on here and chatting with me. It was a lot of fun.
Hmm.
I just love learning about the community and individual artists,
Yeah.
and
Yeah,
that's
same here.
cool with Hot Summer Shorts is to bring everybody together because there is, especially in times where jobs are lean, paid jobs are lean. There's a lot of competition, and so I really want
Hmm.
people to remember that this is a fun thing that we do,
Yeah.
and just build community that way. I think we need it
Yeah.
now.
I think you're absolutely right. I think building a community is super important. Finding people who share your same passion. There's nobody in my entire state, I believe, that probably even cares anything about animation. So maybe I'm just exaggerating, but it feels like that, you know? It feels like I could talk to somebody about it and they're like, I don't, yeah, okay, let's go play some video games or something, like, um, but yeah, so I just feel like anytime I get an opportunity to talk to somebody about it, I get like super excited and, probably a little overzealous when it comes to conversations, but I appreciate you having me on and talking, and it's been a blast.
Yeah, well, I appreciate it, and I'm excited for you to help me, excuse me, judge the incoming. I think we're going to get an influx here over the next few weeks,
Yeah,
so looking out for that. But
I'm excited to see it.
awesome. Well, thank you again. Take care, and I hopefully will be doing this again next year, maybe.
Yeah, absolutely. Sounds good.
All right, thanks, Ryan.
Thank you.
All right, I remember.